99% of my clients, I meet them on the day of the event in person, on the day
Wow.
of the wedding in person. Yes.
Wow.
Most couples do not come to do, a site tour or a food tasting.
They just,
Everything is every
Andrea, close my eyes. She got it.
exactly. So,
Wow.
and that is also a huge responsibility. I
Yeah.
have to deliver. This is a lot of pressure because people have put their faith in me to plan this once in a lifetime event for them, right?
Yeah.
And so that is also something that I need to be mindful of, and I do not take for granted, definitely.
Welcome to The Right Fit. Today, we are joined by Andrea, the founder of Didea Events and Entertainment. For 10 years, Andrea has been a powerhouse in the Dominican Republic, not just planning weddings, but designing full-scale, extraordinary experiences that range from live dance shows to high-end sound and production. So, Andrea, we were stalking you a little bit. We saw that you were recently at a high-profile wedding planner meeting for 2026. And so curiosity, when you're in a room full of like the industry best or the top people, like what are some of the topics that you're having most with some of these planners?
First of all, thank you for that amazing intro. I feel like a celebrity.
We're
Yeah.
glad you are.
Yeah. So when we're all together, first of all, I don't believe in competition. That's something I do not believe in. I believe there's space for everybody. There's clients for everybody. We're all different. We all approach this amazing industry differently. And so I like to share with fellow wedding planners. I like to share with vendors that I don't necessarily also collaborate with on a daily basis. And honestly, on that particular meeting, we were all just overwhelmed because right now here in the Dominican Republic, it's high season. So January, February, March, April, so November all the way through May for us is highest season. Yes. So we're all talking about just, how
Surviving.
busy we are, yeah, but all in a positive way. Of course, we're very thankful, delighted to be working with so many amazing clients from around the world.
That's interesting. And I mean, interesting also because right now it's my slower season. I'm in the New Jersey, New York area. And,
Yes.
I have a wedding on this Friday, but like for the most part, like I don't have a ton of events in the sense of, I guess it also depends like what type of events you're doing. But
Right.
when people are spending a decent budget, they don't want to risk a snowstorm or some other weather elements sometimes. So I
No, of
feel like that
course.
it
Makes
becomes a
sense.
little slower for us. And then for you guys, it's like busy, busy, busy.
For
So
us, because it's winter in the US. Most of my clients, they come from the US, right? So, yeah, the warm weather, the beautiful nature, the beaches, all of it. Yeah, it's what makes winter in the Dominican Republic the highest season for us in the industry.
it makes sense. Definitely makes sense. So you are a woman of many talents, a singer, a
Thank you so
model.
much.
Let's add traveler in there because I saw that you were traveling recently as well. I think, where'd you go?
Yes.
Iceland? Was it?
Yes, Iceland. And
One of
if
my
you ever
favorites.
have the chance, have you
I,
been?
I've been. I've been.
You've,
I
my God. Then,
Amazing.
then
I would
you
go back. I would go back. And it's
I
crazy.
felt
People
like,
are like, why would you go to a cold place? And I'm like, no, no, like Iceland
no,
is, yeah,
it's another planet.
yes,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
definitely something. I mean, I didn't expect much because, fun fact, since I'm doing this job, right? I'm planning events. I'm planning weddings for others. In my private life, I do not necessarily enjoy planning trips or really anything. But yeah, my boyfriend planned a trip. It was actually a trip for his birthday, and we went to Iceland. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into because I do know that it's really cold. It's really unique. It was definitely a place on my bucket list. But what I lived there and when you experienced it firsthand, I was just blown away.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Did you get to
Yeah.
see the Northern Lights?
Yes and no, and I'll tell you why. Because it was it was cloudy. We did see the lights changing, kind of. It was yellowish, pink light in the clouds, but it wasn't as if you can see it on those pictures that people post where it's clear and you can definitely like see it 100%.
Yeah, looks like another
But
galaxy.
we did. I like to believe that we did.
That's all that matters. So all that
Yeah,
matters. So where I was going with that, although we got sidetracked with the traveler stuff, which is pretty cool because Iceland is amazing. So definitely visit if you can, anybody listening or watching.
for sure.
So I guess the question was, with these multiple things that you do, the question is like, is this a way to recharge your creativity, or does like your like this onstage energy like directly fuel your company? Like, the idea is
Oh,
like correct, like correlated with all these things that you do?
well, I started out as a singer. I come from Macedonia. So, fun fact, I come from the Republic of Macedonia in Europe.
Wow.
And I
Okay.
arrived in the Dominican Republic in 2014 in Punta Cana. That's 12 years ago now, which is insane to me. Yeah. It's cliche that, time flies. It does fly. It's crazy. And so when I arrived here, I was doing only that. I immediately met some musicians. We started a band right there because that's what I was doing in Macedonia as well for many, many years since I was 17. When I arrived in the DR, I was 23. And so I started performing at local bars, at hotels, and that's what I was doing for the first 2 years that I was here at the beginning. And so, yeah, meeting people, networking, all of that. And they would ask me many times, you're going to be performing at my wedding. Do you know a decorator that I can use? Can you recommend a photographer? Can you recommend a DJ and an MC? And it got me thinking, yeah, right.
Don't tell your boyfriend.
No, so you're welcome to be the DJ and an MC at my event, Christian, for sure, for real. It would be great to meet you and your amazing family also in person.
Oh, okay. I like that idea.
Yeah. So wait, where was I? So they would ask me to recommend, vendors, and I was like, hold up. I like organizing things. I'm a type A person. I don't like to use the word bossy, but I like to get things done. And so I said, okay, we can build on this. I don't just have to do this, although it really feels fulfilling for me. I love to sing. Even to this day, have my band active, although I do not perform as often as I would like to because of my limited times, unfortunately. But yes, so I was like, okay, let's make this real, let's make this official, let's make this something more because I feel I can do more. And so I founded a company in 2016, so 10 years ago, correct? Yeah,
10-year
you were right at the
anniversary.
beginning. Yes,
Yeah.
on the 12th of February, it was. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
Most
you so
businesses
much.
don't make it out of the first year or the fifth year. So
Yeah, that's
t-
true.
t-
Thank you so much. 10 years and yeah, that's how it started. First it started with events, smaller scale events, birthday parties, anniversaries. Then it went on to weddings naturally, and then corporate events, which I also really really enjoy doing.
it's funny you mentioned the corporate event side because that's something I've been doing a lot more of too. That I feel like, well, I don't know if people sleep on it, but when I mention corporate events to like other people, some of the people that I know, colleagues, DJs and other, like it could be a planet. They're like, oh, I don't know, and it's not my thing, or they're boring, and I'm like, I love
Right.
corporate events. Like I don't know, I enjoy
Same.
doing them, but I guess
I
once
love
again,
the
this is part of what we do, and that's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's like I like the pace of it. I like the professionalism. I like that everything is very clear, and people come here necessarily. I mean, everybody comes in the Dominican Republic to celebrate something, right? If they're gonna work with me. But then on the corporate events, you have this sense of, unity. People wanna blow off some steam and do it together, and it's really fun to also watch them do that. Like they are so serious at the beginning, but then at the event you can see their fun side. So that's really really fulfilling to me as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and then once again, a whole different side that hopefully, maybe for you and what you do, keeps it fresh, right? Because sometimes when you do the same thing
Exactly.
over and over and over again, that can get a little stale as well. So hopefully it gives you a better
Definitely.
balance.
Yes, I
So
would
what
say that
when you
because
went
weddings
through
are
all the oh, sorry.
emotional, right? No,
Yeah.
you're good. I just
Yeah,
wanted to
they
add
are.
on that weddings are very emotional, and I love doing weddings, of course. But I also find that the more practical side of my personality kind of gets to shine in working corporate events.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's definitely a different side of your emotional side too. Like you said, like,
yeah,
the I don't know how to we can probably have a whole other call about this, but like, when you're working weddings, it's not just the bride or the group, it's the parents'
no.
emotions, it's the stress, the anxiety, it's the happy, it's the fearful, it's like so much stuff going on that yeah, it could
But
be a lot.
but you know what? It might be a little bit different here
Okay.
because people plan from afar. I meet most of my clients, 99% of my clients, I meet them on the day of the event in person, on the
Wow.
day of the wedding in person. Yes.
Wow.
Most couples do not come to do, a site tour or a food tasting.
They just
Everything is everything
Andrea, close my eyes, she got it.
exactly.
Wow.
So and that is also a huge responsibility. I have to deliver. This is a lot of pressure because people have put their faith in me to plan this once in a lifetime event for them, right? And so that is also something that I need to be mindful of, and I do not take for granted, definitely.
Especially from afar. It's like you're
Mm-hmm.
really letting go of any type of control. Like I could get, let's say somebody hires me, for example, right? But they're in my
Right.
radius and we meet virtually. Okay, we met virtually, but we're still like drivable. Like God forbid, I don't know,
Yes.
something like you, it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get in a car and go to DR. You know what I mean? It's going to be kind of hard
Yeah.
to get there. So they really have to put a different level of trust. But also, you have to give yourself a little pat on the back because clearly your reputation has brought you to a level where people can trust you to say, I'm going to give you this money and I'm going to give you this vision.
Yeah.
And there you go,
Yeah.
Andrea. Just do your
Yeah.
thing,
Do your
which is I feel like sometimes vendors take for granted, if that makes any sense. Like we sometimes take for granted the type of trust and thing that people put in us because sometimes it's second nature. I'm not saying you do, but I've overheard, people sometimes I'm at events and you could tell they're like a little cranky and thing to be there. I'm like, hey, like people put a lot of
right.
faith and trust and invested a lot into you, so
Definitely. And also, sometimes I've heard people say, oh, it's a small wedding or it's a small event. It's just
no
gonna
such thing.
be, 30 people. Hey, for them, this is really important. So you would want to approach it. I mean, that's my opinion, as if it was 200 people, 500 people event. It doesn't really matter the number
Yep.
because even if it's just an elopement, it's never just an elopement. It's two people that travel from afar to get married here. And so they're trusting you with this. And what if that budget that they have, they've been working hard to even save that money and they're putting their trust in you. So we always have to be mindful of that,
1000%.
especially in
Well,
this economy. Okay.
I mean, yeah, say it louder for the people in the back, right?
Hmm.
Always have to be mindful of all those things. Now, a question that I didn't really have written down or anything like that, but I'm curious now, kind of going back to your journey is you mentioned that you went to the Dominican Republic 12 years ago, right? And you started
Yes,
doing what you know. But at the same time,
exactly.
my question is, did you go to the Dominican Republic thinking, hey, I'm just going to go to this new country from Macedonia with totally different languages and I'm sure a lot of other differences, and I'm just going to start a new life and maybe start a new business? Like, what was your game plan?
Honestly, for the first year, it was just to check it out. I didn't really have a game plan. I arrived here with my ex-partner and then my dog, Lucky. I don't know if you can see the picture
Oh, yeah,
up
yeah, yeah.
there. Yeah. And so it was just like, this is a new place. I wanted to move, not because I wasn't doing well over there, but I just felt that maybe I could do more elsewhere. And also in Macedonia, we have weather similar to, let's say, to New York. So we
Okay,
have,
yeah.
harsh winters, we have hot summers. It's más o menos is the same. So I do not like winter, Christian. I do not like the cold. And I was like, you know what? I always wanted to live by the sea. And I feel that this country, even though at that time it was really, it's still very far, but it was foreign to me, very foreign to me. I only had one friend that was already living here. He was a photographer, and I was just looking at his pictures and I was like, wow, this looks really cool. And for something that I do, singing at the time, having my own band, maybe there is space for that. So that's how I went. And honestly, the events and also the audiovisual part as well. So, you have a band and then you're like, I should get speakers, I should get lights, I should, up level this a little bit. So it kind of built onto itself in a way. I didn't really have a plan, to be honest. It wasn't this determination. I'm gonna start a business and make it
Hmm.
elsewhere. No. It was just
Wow.
very natural, very slow paced growth.
Thing. It's interesting more so because you do have that type A personality within you, but that wasn't very type A of you to kind of just be a little bit more
Yeah.
free flowing and let it go. But I will
Yeah.
say this, which I'm learning about some of the people that I'm talking to or working with, that yes, you do need the type A, I think, to do what we do as far as like wedding planning, event planning, like you just need some of that. However, I'm talking to so many creatives that we need that other side too. If we
Definitely.
don't have that other side, we'd just be a very dry, boring type of,
We need the
event
softness
professional.
and the flexibility. That's right.
Yeah.
So we,
Yeah.
we do
So
need that. We need to balance the two. Um, you know, being this type of personality sometimes affects my private life, because I want things done right now. And also I overthink so much that what could go wrong because when you do events, you have to think of everything. what if it rains? And especially here, what if it rains? No, what do we do? Because
Yeah,
it could rain for 5 minutes all of a
true.
sudden, and just everything would be soaked.
Right in the middle of the beach ceremony.
Yep, yep. So
Yep, the
you know,
cloud just came.
fun times.
Wow. This is so
But
interesting.
we try to. I mean, I can talk for myself, but I've also talked to other fellow event professionals, and it's definitely hard for us to let go of control and trust that things sometimes will work out even without you interfering and like your tight grip on things. Sometimes you
Yeah.
you just have to trust. And I guess, yeah, you're right. I did trust the process at that time that I arrived here and I was like, let's see what happens. Yeah. But once I got the idea, I was like, oh my God, I'm doing this.
Yeah. Well, good
Yeah.
for you. Good for you. You stuck with it. You made something out of it. You made a life there. You clearly you're there. You live there. I mean, there's 12 years. Like that's it.
Yes.
You're Dominican now, pretty much.
It's a, whoa. Yeah. I think I don't know if it's like 2 years, 3 years, missing, for the passport. I'm not sure. I need to check, but I do have my permanent residency, uh, since 2023.
Look at that. So I'm curious here now because I am not well versed with destination weddings. I've done destination weddings within the United States, so to speak. So I've done it out of state. I've got on a plane. I've traveled. So people do things differently in different parts of this country of the United States. However, when it comes to now international, right? Because now you would be considered international for somebody like me. What is something that people like what is a big misconception or like misunderstand about the reality of planning a destination wedding? But I guess we could keep it specific to the Dominican Republic, because that's what most your market, So what's a
Oh,
common misconception or like, you know, or like the reality of like something that people miss? Because I feel like even though it seems like you're finding a lot of couples that are just trusting you and I'm sure you find people who just have like maybe ultra realities, or now people are Googling everything, or may just chat GBT something. And then Andrea
right.
might be like, wait. This is not how it goes. This is not how it works.
Right. Well, first of all, budget wise, it's always when somebody approaches it and says, it's just going to be a small wedding, we're just going to be 50 people, and they expect that it can be maybe done with a lower budget, let's say. But then when they present the idea of what they imagine, it cannot be realistically done within that budget. And I like to be direct, I prefer saying to people, you know what, we might have to need some sort of flexibility budget wise. And I prefer to say it right from the start as to not to create, this false expectation. Because yes, a destination wedding in the Dominican Republic can be more budget friendly, I would say, than doing one in the US for that amount of people. But it all depends on the idea that you have. What would you like it to look like? The vision that you have. So basically, you have to kind of match the vision and the budget. And I feel that there is not enough information out there as to what to expect budget wise and vision wise. So the two can be misaligned many times right from the get go. So that's why I like to, politely explain that, we might be able to do this. However, we cannot achieve this. And if there is flexibility, great, let's work with that. And if not, let's try to downsize some things, but siempre y cuando it's realistic.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to be realistic.
Back to reality. That's your job, to
Yes,
always bring them back, right? Always bringing people back to
yes,
reality.
yes,
It's
exactly.
interesting. And
Yes.
you said something that I hear a lot too. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this destination wedding and I'm going to save money. But what does really
Hmm.
saving money mean, right? Because now you're saying like some of these events are like less people, right? Because let's say maybe I'm doing 100 to 150 person wedding. Maybe over there it's 50 people.
Right.
Maybe these people are paying their way there, they're paying their flights and all these other things. So like, would you say there's like an average range of like where you see people kind of find themselves in for like destination weddings, like,
To be honest,
or
no, because even if it's even if less people, right? If it's a smaller wedding, if the vision is very extravagant and they want all of these amazing things, amazing decoration, very elaborate, then it would cost the same as a wedding of 80 people, 100 people with a vision that's not so extravagant. So that's why, at least the way that I work, is I like to personalize everything. I do not work with pre-made packages. And I do know that most resorts here in the Dominican Republic they like to offer, pre-made packages, and there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever you are comfortable with, whatever, if that's what you're looking for, it's fine. But then personalizing might break the bank, because personalizing every little detail on top of that package might come with higher cost than you expect, even though it's initially a lower cost package. I'm talking about the packages that the resorts are offering. So we have to also be mindful of that. If you would like an all white decoration with white roses and white tablecloths and white chairs, perfect. That, go for it. But then if you like to personalize something, it might be more costly than you would expect.
You bring up another interesting point here, and I've heard of a lot of that. I was a part of a wedding party at Dominican Republic, Punta Cana. I can't remember the venue at this point, but I want to say they went with the pre-made packages because it was kind of like, this is the
No,
food and
no
this is the
brainer.
venue
Yeah.
and this is the
Yeah.
DJ and this is like, they didn't really have much ability to customize things, which I think worked to a certain extent, but like other areas, like kind of going back to the DJ, because that was my, it was like they had to like really handhold the DJ to kind of be like, this is what
Right.
we're really, because the guy, I'm not saying he was bad, but he just didn't really know like what they wanted, or didn't really understand the music.
Right.
With that, how are these, I mean, they're essentially, a lot of these places are resorts and stuff like that. How are they accepting of you? Are you an insider? Are you recommended by them? Are you an outsider? Like, how does this
I'm
collaboration work? And why do these people want to invest a little bit more money, being that they
mhm,
could just have like this pick A, B, or C on the menu, ija, call it
right.
a day?
Well, I personally collaborate mostly with private venues here in the DR, because they are more open to, outside planners, and also
Yeah.
to personalizing everything basically for your wedding. If you would like to bring a DJ, yeah, let's take that example, that is not pre-approved or part of their list. If you want to bring your own DJ, or maybe you found someone that, price-wise makes more sense for you, you do not have to pay any fees to get them on the property to do their job, right? And the resorts do tend to have that. Sometimes it's per service, and sometimes it's per vendor, these fees. And so when a couple gets in touch and they tell me, look, this resort is my venue, right from the get go, I'm like, great, that's amazing. Before we begin, I just want to be upfront that there might be an outside vendor fee. And I tell them I have a template that I
So
copy and paste.
even for you, they'll charge that fee,
Even
even though
even
you're
for
like
me,
a local.
depending on the resort, because there's
Yeah.
a lot of hotels here with different policies, with different
Right. Right.
rules. So I always say, if you have already booked that hotel, if you already decided on it, then please make sure, you're familiar with all of the rules, because also I would like to respect the property's rules, right? I live here, I work here. Essentially, I'm going to stay here.
Right.
And
Right.
I
Right.
want to
You
be
want to come back.
in good, of course. Yeah, I mean, and no hate on the resorts whatsoever. That's their model of doing weddings and events, and that's perfectly fine. And it works for a lot of couples in a lot of groups. But then, if somebody likes to personalize a little bit more, my advice would be, and not just because I'm doing this, but like in general, it makes more sense for you to maybe check out the outside venues and check out the planners that are local, because we would know how to handle all the details that you don't necessarily see prior to the wedding and also on the wedding day, or for any event.
Yeah. No, look, I don't know too much about destination weddings. I hear about them here and there, but I don't know if this could be a misconception or a myth. But like, to my understanding, I thought these destination weddings were just all at the resorts. I didn't really think about private venues with more private planners, and like kind of like how it works here
Yeah,
in my market where I'm at. I'm not really working at resorts. I'm really working at private venues that, yeah, maybe some of them have their recommended vendors or whatever the case may be, but they're not making it an obstacle to bring an outside vendor or to kind of make things a little bit more custom.
right.
Versus I've heard of situations like this, because maybe that's been a deal breaker for maybe somebody who wants to fly me out. Christian, we love to have you there, but like this venue is
Yes.
giving me a hard time, and now they're charging me another fee, and then like they're going to kill me on the equipment, and then they're just like, it's just
Hmm.
not in our budget anymore, right? And I'm like,
Right.
man, that sucks. Like, now you're stuck with maybe working with somebody that you just didn't want to work with because you just got to pick A, B, or C,
Right.
because that's just how it works.
And also, I mean, maybe the resorts, they have their own list of pre-approved vendors as well, to maintain a sort of quality that they want to guarantee for their guests, and that's totally fine.
Right. No, I'm not mad at
The
that one.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
But,
not mad at that.
it
Yeah.
might be a deal breaker for people, because it means there's going to be too many fees, and necessarily we can relocate that budget that you would pay in fees towards something that is going to be very close to what you envision. At a private venue, there is restaurants, there's villas, depending on the group sizes. In Punta Cana, we can create events at private spaces that are different, unique, and can accommodate from 10 to 500 guests, depending on the property. And so I really think it's worth looking into private venues and also local planners as well if somebody's planning to get married here or celebrate anything.
I mean, I love that idea. I think that could be a fun fact once again that I wasn't really thinking that way. And that could be, the lack of knowledge that I know about other markets. And I think that's why, once again, our conversation is so important here. Is this is this a myth or not? I've heard sometimes a workaround to some of these obstacles is like, I'm their cousin and I'm staying at the resort.
I wouldn't play that card if
No?
I were you. No, some properties, look, and I don't really know too much about it because,
Yeah.
again, I collaborate more with private
You play
venues.
nice.
Well, no, but really, it's smart to respect the rules always, especially when you're in a foreign country and, dealing with such an important event in your
This is
life.
true.
You don't want to mess it up. I do
Okay.
have an example of this one event that I was hired to do decoration and I believe audiovisual equipment. It was at a resort and they initially had, I believe, 50 or 60 guests. And then on the day off, there was an intent, yeah, for somebody tried to sneak into, like a group of 10 tried to sneak into through the beach because
My
they were
gosh.
staying at another property next
I
door.
see. I see.
And so they were guests of the group, but they kind of tried and they thought that would be possible.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just, blown away by even, somebody thinking that and then actually trying to do it. I was like, no, the hotel, there's security, you cannot pull that off.
And so it never happened? Did they even try
I
or
mean, they came and they tried, and the security caught them that they're trying to enter the property. So also, decoration wise, I had planned everything for 50 people. I have set up tables and everything for 50 people. I do not know the reasoning behind that. And I was like blown away by that. But it happened only once, and I don't think it's gonna happen again, honestly.
moral of the story, don't pull any audibles, especially when you're traveling in another country. Play by the
Hmm.
rules. Okay.
They want
Got
it.
it.
Or book if it's the accommodation, yeah, book an accommodation right there and maybe,
Yeah.
there's yeah,
Right.
it could be done.
Interesting. Oh my God. I guess I didn't think about that. Wow. Learning so many fun facts here with destination stuff. So I guess another question I have. So you've done at this point,
Hmm.
the 12 years. Let's count the 12 years because the first couple of years were for something. So you've done, from what it sounds like, small ceremonies, right? It's like small intimate events. You've done
Yeah,
also massive events from not let's not even call it weddings, but even like maybe a corporate side of things or whatever, bigger events.
right.
What is one element that can never be missing if you want to create truly like an extraordinary event? What's something that you think like it's just this is the seasoning, this is the sazon that every party needs or event?
Oh, that's a really good question, Christian.
I had to make it think a little bit.
One thing that cannot be missing. I would say here in the DR, definitely a backup plan in case of rain. I'm gonna go back to that.
Okay.
Definitely. We
Okay.
always have to plan with the weather in mind because, like I said, it might rain all of a sudden for 5 minutes, no more than that. And we are risking that everything gets soaked. Audiovisual equipment, we have to run and it could be a mess. So it has not happened to me because I like to prepare and I like to plan for no the worst case scenario, right? So we have tents and or options that we can do something in a covered area of the venue, deciding right there on the day before we start setup if the weather is looking kind of tricky. We're not sure if it's going to be 100% clear throughout the day. So of course it's better to be safe than sorry, right? Some clients do not like to be put under a tent. Some clients do not like that the event is not going to be on the beach, let's say, if they haven't planned for a tent or something like that, and that we have to move it, for example, in a covered area. So yeah, but at the end of the day, we have to be, again, realistic. Because would you rather have a successful, very nice celebration that is going to happen flawlessly, just,
Yeah.
with a slight modification?
Right, right.
than risk everything and everyone getting.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that is like something that couples at times, and I don't think it's they're doing it purposefully. I think it's just sometimes they have like this vision that they're so hard set on, but sometimes they forget about comfort being a part of the experience, right? So being soaking
Thank you.
wet is
Yes.
uncomfortable. You know,
Yes.
being in the beaming sun versus having a little coverage, it can be uncomfortable, right?
Uncomfortable.
Where I live, sometimes the freezing cold. I one time witnessed a wedding in the middle of the winter because somebody
Mhm.
really just wanted to have this outdoor ceremony so bad, so bad. And once again, it also gets darker here faster. So it was like pretty much pitch black. We had like the little heaters were out on the sides, not doing anything because people are like sitting in the rows. So whoever's maybe on top of the heater maybe is getting a little
Yeah, it
bit,
gets a little
but
bit, but then the other one, yeah.
just think about the experience that your guests are going to have. You think they're going to really be present in the moment, or they're going to be thinking, when the hell am I going to get out of here? And we're going to be
Yeah.
done with the ceremony and go back inside. Or you're in a situation like, I'm soaking wet, I got
Yeah.
dressed, I got ready, and now I'm just
And now what?
uncomfortable.
No, but that brings us to this one thing that I've noticed, and I really wish that people would not necessarily just like stop, but please, it feels as if the celebrations are becoming more with the purpose to impress people, impress others, impress everyone, impress Instagram, than enjoying the
Uh-huh.
experience. And I get it. Okay, yes, this is a beautiful destination, amazing, the beach, the colors, I love it. But when we are there, when we are in the moment, we have to enjoy what we worked. And couples also work very hard planning their weddings from afar, right? They
Right.
read my emails and they respond and they make decisions. And it's not as easy as having your planner there in person with you. It's all calls, and thank God for the internet. But
Mm.
then when we're in the moment, I wish that everybody, the guests, the couples, the organizers, if it's a corporate event, would enjoy their time, be present at the
Mm.
event or at the wedding, rather than just, post or do it for the social media. Because I feel that's happening a lot, and there is nothing necessarily wrong with it. But then when you look back, did you really live it? Were you really
Yes.
there?
Right. Absolutely. How do
Yeah.
you find yourself from a personal standpoint as Andrea, the person who was also working very hard on these moments? How do you find yourself becoming more present in these moments?
It's difficult, Christian. It's difficult. It's hard for me because of the overthinking, because
Yeah.
I need to hold everything and hold the fortress. And at the same time, something happens. I have to solve a problem. I don't know. It happened to me in December that a tablecloth was missing. It wasn't missing. It was right there. I found it. It's just that, the people who are helping me with the decoration, they just didn't see it. And so I was freaking out for 15 minutes trying to come up with a solution. And then I saw it right there. So it's hard for me to enjoy, to stay present, to breathe when there's so much going on around me. But I'm doing better. With every event, I give myself the task to be practicing. And also on the bigger events, which are the corporate ones, bigger groups, there is also, I do it with planners from the States, for example. They would reach out to me. It's their group, and I would help them, with the coordination and the planning here in the country. But we do it as a collaboration many times, so it's not just me. And a shout out to them as well. And
Yeah.
so it helps me when there's more of us, that we can kind of stay present together.
Yeah. No, it's hard. And as vendors, we work very hard behind the scenes too. And
Definitely.
our goal is obviously to just try to make these people so happy and give them like the best memories ever. But then, I think we've all been guilty of it where it's like the event passes and then we're just already moving on to the next event. And then
Hmm.
we're just like, don't really stop and say, wow, like we did this or my team did this or like, you know what I mean?
We
Like, oh my
accomplished
God,
something.
yeah, we made it out alive or whatever. You might have a millisecond of that, and you're just ready. Like, okay, we got one tomorrow, we got one next week that we got to get ready for. Yeah, like we're moving. So your statement about couples and clients being present, I think us as vendors should try to take that as well.
Definitely. We need to slow down even on the day.
Yeah, yeah, I know it's hard, especially for you as a planner. A lot falls on your plate. You're putting out a lot of fires along the way that people don't even know about.
Yeah, true that.
I keep jumping back to your 12 years because I love your story.
Oh,
Part of
thank
the
you.
reason I'm loving your story more is because it's now 2026. You didn't necessarily start 12 years ago thinking that you'd be here today, right?
No,
And and you just made 10 years. You've been in the country for 12-ish years. Like, what what do you think your younger self would think about what's happening right now in your life, in your current state, the trials and
oh,
tribulations? You mentioned an ex-partner. Like,
yeah.
it didn't come so like, hey, I got 10 years, we're doing
No,
amazing events. Like,
no, and you know what? I'm very lucky to have been supported by people along the way that didn't mind my personality, which was really fuerte a veces, Well, because also, again, I feel that I was just a kid. 23, 24-year-old, what is that? Now looking
yeah,
back, that's crazy to me. I mean,
yes, yeah, it is
you
very
know,
crazy.
I I didn't have the crazy is doing partying. I only remember, of course, I enjoy life here. I go to the beach and I have my friends and we go out. That's fine. But I was focused on work. And so for me, that was just something that I do. It goes without saying, that's who I am. That's what I do. And so looking back right now, I think my younger self would be mind blown to know where I'm at right now. And that makes me feel good. I've accomplished something at a place that is very far from my home country.
Yeah,
In the pandemic is when I had a little bit of time to kind of stop and be like, wait a minute, this is becoming something because then we stopped, right? We couldn't do events for a year and it was difficult, very difficult. But then, looking 2016 to 2020 was 4 years and I was like, okay, this is going well. And then after the pandemic, as soon as we start celebrating again, I want to do it more and I want to do it better.
that's well, that's I mean, crazy. Like, once again, such just knowing your age at that time. Yeah, you're just so still underdeveloped in many ways. Even,
The
I was,
frontal.
yeah, the frontal lobe, exactly, till 25.
Yeah, but I wasn't alone and many people also supported me and I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah. Who was your bigger supporter, you think?
Well, of course, my ex-partner,
Okay. Okay, shout out.
my family, of course. Yeah, I mean, we're friends. There's no
Really?
bad
Okay.
feelings there whatsoever. Of course. Yeah, I
Amazing.
mean, a long time. And
Got it.
I'm thankful for that. My family, at one point, I didn't see my family for 5 years. I didn't go back to Macedonia for 5 years. I do regret that. I wish that, things could have been different, but I was so focused on what I was doing here. And the friends that I made here along the way, which was a lot of musicians, a lot of people who were working with, decor, who would jump in and sometimes save the day for me when I wasn't as experienced as, I wish I could have been, but you learn as you go.
Yeah.
And there were so many times that I have relied on this beautiful souls that have just come out of nowhere on my way and just supported me and helped me grow. So it's definitely not something that I did single-handedly. I could have never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I think that's an important piece to note for any potential, like, entrepreneur, like whether they're a planner or not watching this, is something that I learned the hard way over the years too. It's like I grew up with this mentality of like, maybe I got it from my dad. My dad is the type of person, he doesn't like to ask for help, right? So then I
Hmm.
always felt like I needed to do everything by myself. Everything was me, everything was alone. And that was
Same.
because I was like, because I thought that's just how it had to be. But realizing my true growth has been through my network, has been through that support system, has been through the genuine relationships that I've made. And look, I've even made some bad relationship decisions. And I'm not talking about like romantic ones. I'm talking
No, no,
about
no, definitely
business,
business
business
relationships,
ones
of
too,
course.
where you're just like, okay, maybe this is not the good,
Yeah, good
fit
fit.
for what I'm
Maybe
trying.
this is
Yeah,
not the right fit.
they're not the right fit, right? Exactly. So, I think that that's an important piece, that to say, yes, we could be the driving force and we could be maybe a leader in what we're doing, but at the same time, I think our best wins are when we're learning and sharing it with others along the way and allowing that support to be there versus, closing ourselves out and not letting us be open to that. So anyway,
Right.
I appreciate you mentioning that, because I think that's important, and also you being big about even like your ex-partner or whoever it is, because like it's true, our journey, it's so interesting that although
It's
we couldn't have
shaped
never
it.
planned, it's just we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for all those things. Just
That's
you
right.
know,
Everything shaped us, all the people, all
yeah,
the decisions, everything, every step of the way has shaped us into who we are right now. So you have to also be thankful for the things that didn't work out for those
100%.
those business relationship that you said, they were a bad
Hmm.
call at the time. But then looking back, you're like, oh my God, I learned so much from this. And thank
Yeah,
God that happened because it brought me to something else, and it opened my eyes in a new perspective, to a new
right.
perspective. So yeah, we have to always be thankful and appreciate everything. Yeah.
So, towards the end of our show, we like to do a rapid fire round
Okay.
where you're going to just give me like kind of like the first thing that comes to mind. It doesn't need to
Oh
be
my God, I
too
love
long,
this. Wait.
too elaborate. Okay. So, what is the one detail guests remember most about an event?
The vibe, that overall.
Okay. The vibe. So, like the feeling that lives on, maybe, right? You'd
That's
say?
right.
I
How you
love it.
make them feel. Yes.
Yes. So, what is one wedding trend that we need to retire like yesterday?
Champagne towers, and I'm sorry. I'm really
All right.
sorry.
Champagne towers. Yes. What is the secret ingredient that makes an event truly unforgettable? And I'm not talking about the backup plan.
Personality, personalizing it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Making it true to you.
Yes. I love that. Authenticity, I think, is something with what you were saying before, with like the Instagrammable and all that, that sometimes we're losing along the way. And I know it's supposed to be a wraparound, but it just made me think of like, and I'm sure you get this as a planner. Sometimes I get ideas from my couples that I already know right off the bat that it wasn't their idea. They just found it on TikTok or whatever. And then they're doing this thing because it's just the thing that they saw and the algorithm told them that's the thing. And I'm just kind of like, is this thing you? And I'm like, if it is you, cool. Like
Yeah.
we could do it. But like, are we just forcing this thing because we feel like it's what we need to do? And then also I
Yeah.
always ask, is this thing going to age well? Right. Because I think that's another thing that
Exactly.
we got to think about. Like, what the hell was I thinking? You know what
Are
I
we
mean?
doing
Uh,
trends just because
right.
it's trends? Is this gonna be
Right.
timeless? No.
Yes.
We have to
Yes.
stick with, yeah.
So interesting. So my last question, and this is not wrap around. You can answer however you wish. What makes a client the right fit for you?
Okay, if a client would like to feel as if somebody's got their day and them from afar, I'm the right fit for them. I'm going to
Ah,
make sure that they have a wonderful celebration in a beautiful country with amazing nature, that the backdrop itself is just a decoration on its own, right? But also feeling supported throughout it all, and somebody who's going to be real with them and direct with them, because that saves everyone's time, it saves everyone's energy. So if they're somebody looking for that, I think I could be the right fit for them.
so they gotta let you do your thing. They gotta be open to the tough love. You know, Andrea's gonna give it to you like it is,
I
but for
try
the
to be,
better.
I'm kind. No, I don't, I'm
No,
not,
I mean I say tough love in the sense of like sometimes people, you know, especially like when you hire somebody, and I kind of tell this to my couples too. It's like you're hiring me to not just do this thing that you think that I'm going to do, but you're also hopefully hiring me because I'm going to give you my input to hopefully help you overcome and save you some trouble, headaches, hassle, maybe money.
exactly,
And I think sometimes when it goes the wedding planner route, you know, and maybe you've made yourself clear or just kind of found your people over the years, it's like they just want you to yes them to death. Yes, yes, we could do this. Yes, yes, yes,
mm,
and yes, yes, yes. And it's like sometimes we're saying no, not because you know we're trying to
yeah,
be like difficult. And that's why I said the tough love is like I love you to death, and I want this to succeed so bad that I need to tell you
exactly,
no right now because I
exactly.
want you to get to
Or that
this. You
something
know,
cannot be done. Sometimes something
right,
cannot be done just because this is again a different country. So
right,
sometimes things
true,
cannot be secured or cannot be sourced that fast. Or there's not
yeah,
going to be that exact same thing that you want. Maybe we can swap it for something else. So a little open-mindedness to that as well.
yeah,
Because, you abroad, basically, things are done a little differently here. The
sure.
responsiveness, I would just like to, at the end, touch a little bit on the responsiveness. For example, when I got here to Europe, I was used to also that space, like here we start up right away, or like in half an hour, in 2 hours, in 24 hours. But when I arrived here, I learned that people here like to do things on island time at that time. Now it's a little bit different. So, being patient, because yes, I am very responsive myself, but then my vendors, some of them are not as responsive because they're also very busy. They just, do not manage their time. If it's a creative person, if it's a musician, so they're not as fast in their replies. Yeah, the rock stars. So we have to kind
Oh,
of brace ourselves a little bit and have a little bit of patience and understanding that it's just a little bit different.
right. Right. And look, I see that
Yeah.
even in different parts of the United States where like
Right.
I've done like once again more of like the domestic traveling, and I'll talk to somebody from the other state and like literally in my mind, right, we're New York City, New Jersey, like we just like yesterday, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah, yeah,
I'm over here
definitely.
like trying to like find like other states where like, hey, I need equipment. And I'm like, does nobody want my
Right.
money? Like, does anybody want my business? Yeah, please, like, here, take my money. And like, no, I'm like, nobody's good. I'm like, Jesus. And I
But you know
sometimes I
what?
think, I'm
That's
like,
also a good thing. That's also a good
right,
thing because not everything is urgent. We need to step out of this urgency culture that is "Well, right now, right now. I want it right now. Hey, come on. We're all
that's
human beings.
tough.
Let's be, you know,
Yes.
let's
Okay.
be for real.
I'm changing my email responder. I'll get back to you in 24 to 100 business
48
hours.
hours.
Maybe
Like,
next year.
yeah, yeah.
I do when
It's
I
on to
can.
you. Yeah.
Andrea, where can people find you or your or more about your business? Where are you most active?
Yeah, so I have my website, which is dideashow.com, the Instagram page of Didea and Didea Events and Entertainment, and my personal page. Yeah, why not? Because I try to balance work and a little bit of my personal life on it. The handle is Andrea or else. So yeah, Andrea
Andrea
or
or
else.
else?
Yeah, don't ask it. I
I don't ask.
thought it was
Okay.
a good idea at the time.
We won't ask any more questions. Interview is done.
Yeah,
Andrea or else. Well, thank you so much for making time here to be a part of the right fit. I'm so like grateful for your time here today. I learned a lot. Hopefully anybody watching or listening learned some stuff too. Please check out Andrea's work. I've been following her for a few years now. I admire her
thank you so much.
creativity and her consistency over the years. So kudos to you. And hopefully, you never know, maybe the universe and the stars will align and maybe we'll maybe even work together one day. So
Truly hope so. And as I said, like to also meet you in person and your wife and your two kids. You know, I found
yes,
out you have a newborn. And so,
that's
wow,
it.
that's so exciting.
I know. But the time is going on and then the family is growing, but we still gotta run these businesses, right? So here we are.
Definitely.
Here we are. So thank you so much
Definitely.
for anybody listening and watching once again. Check us out next time here at The Right Fit, and we'll see you or talk to you guys soon. Ciao.
Bye bye.